Ladies and gentlemen, I'm here today with some bold calls, okay? And I'm not alone for this one. I've got fellow Elite Heat co-host, Bonafide Heat. Kevin, it's going to be fun doing some bold calls for 2022 today, isn't it?
How the hell are you doing there, Jimmy? First of all, it's going to be a blast to do this. I can't wait. We got some bold calls. Let's just say that we got some bold calls for this one. It's gonna be fun.
Yeah, this one, we've got together some stuff which you guys are gonna, find entertaining now, and in reality, some of these, or most of these as we think, are probably gonna happen. So, hope you guys enjoy the video. Kevin, I think, also to answer the question before, I'm doing amazingly. How could you not be? So, with that said, Kevin, do you want to start us off with the first one?
Yeah, let's do it. So, I think this first one, it may seem ludicrous to most of you that are watching this video, but for me and you and some other people out there, this seems like it's almost a lock. Like, out of any bold prediction in this video, I think this one is the most likely to happen. And that's Charlotte Flair going to AEW in 2022. Now, I know she's broken up from Andrade. That's irrelevant in this situation. What's relevant here is there's going to be a point in time where Vince McMahon goes up to Charlotte Flair and says, "Hey, pal, you're not the top star of the women's division anymore." And that day might be in 2022. And when that day happens, Charlotte Flair is going to leave. And she's going to go to AEW and be the top star in their women's division.
But
point blank, it's that simple.
But Kevin, Charlotte's the golden goose of WWE. She's the queen. Vince McMahon would never allow that. And Kevin, I just want to say, to people who are saying that Charlotte would never leave WWE, since when have the Flair family ever been loyal with anything? Can you give me an example? Because I can't think of one. Kevin, this seems destined to happen. Charlotte will get bored of being, the top star of WWE, but she's really not. She's the number 2 to Becky Lynch, which will piss her off. Then she'll want to go to AEW. You know?
Exactly. Yeah, the Flairs, in their personal life, they don't know a lot about loyalty. In their professional life, they don't. And granted, Charlotte Flair, she's been a WWE stalwart since she really started her professional wrestling career. And she's been wrestling now for the better part of 10 years. And yeah, people say she's a lifer. I just don't see it. I think she's going to go where the money is or where the opportunity is. And when that time comes where WWE puts Charlotte second, third, maybe fourth fiddle, we have Rhea Ripley, some other young talents coming up in the women's division. Tony Khan is going to be right there with a big check for one Charlotte Flair. Hell
yeah. And then, so that's one, Charlotte to AEW. And number 2, this one, I feel like we've been kind of alluding to this for a while now, but I feel like in 2022, it's going to finally happen. Kevin, WWE sold to the highest bidder. Now, we were going to put down like a specific corporation or like brand as far as who's going to purchase WWE, but I figured just generally saying that WWE will be sold to the highest bidder is a pretty kind of safe, bold call, if that makes sense. Because obviously it could be NBC, it could be Disney, those are like the 2 major ones. And if WWE is sold to the highest bidder, chances are it's them. But Kevin, you never know. The main thing, WWE sold to the highest bidder. Talk to us.
Imagine a life in 2020, let's say 2023, when the sale goes through, and people in America are watching Sunday Night Football on NBC, and you got Chris and Al talking about Monday Night Raw that's going to take place the night after, like in the middle of a Sunday Night Football game. It's just going to be even more bizarre than like when Fox is promoting SmackDown in the middle of Sunday afternoon football games. I don't know, it's just weird. But yeah, NBC and Disney are the likely destinations. If Disney purchases WWE, we'll likely see WWE be an ESPN Plus exclusive brand in the near future after the NBC deal comes up. So that just seems like a play that could be in play, because they did business with the UFC, they being Disney. So to bolster up their roster, like, they want sports. They spent a lot of money on the NHL. They're going to spend a lot of money on the NBA. They're going to spend a lot of money on the NFL in the near future. It would make sense for them to go after WWE too and secure the biggest wrestling brand.
Yeah, absolutely. It just feels like it makes sense. And with that one, we lead on to the third bold call. This one, similar to the Kevin Owens situation, I feel like throughout 2022, we're going to hear a lot of, guys, AJ Styles' WWE contract. Oh my god, here's a picture of AJ Styles at a house show looking disgruntled with WWE. Oh my god, here's AJ Styles losing a match to Omos. Styles has been buried, he deserves better. He should go to AEW. We're going to see a lot of that, and this big call is AJ Styles does a Kevin Owens and re-signs with WWE. At this point, AJ Styles in 2022, Kevin, I'm no brain surgeon, but how old will he be? 43-ish? Roughly?
Yeah. I think he'll be older than that. I think he'll be 45.
So, AJ Styles will want to rush off to AEW, wrestle 30-minute matches with bloody pizza cutters, doing, edgy, risky indie crap. Styles will want to do that instead of taking easy 7 figures a year from Vince McMahon. Nice. Kevin, talk to us.
I do think, to be fair, that the intrigue is a little bit different from an AJ Styles perspective in joining AEW than it would be for Kevin Owens. Because Kevin Owens, yeah, he can make some money in AEW, but he's going to make more in WWE. That's just the way it is. Vince is going to pay more to keep Kevin Owens in WWE. Whereas AJ Styles could have like a real like Brock Lesnar, Kenny Omega like bidding war for his services. Like he's just a bigger star than Kevin Owens. So it could get to a point where Tony Khan and Vince McMahon are trying to outbid each other to have AJ Styles come to their company. Like that's really the only way like I could see him leaving. But still, this call of saying AJ resigns with WWE just feels very conservative. It feels like a safe call. I think it's more than likely going to happen. If Charlotte to AEW is like the most likely, this one's probably the second most likely. Even this one could be even more likely than Charlotte showing up in AEW. Why would AJ leave WWE? WWE has made him a millionaire. He's made more money there in the 5 years he's been there than he did in his entire wrestling career leading up to it. He's become a household name. He's doing a lot of things that he probably couldn't do outside of WWE. He's become a big star. So I don't see why he would leave.
Absolutely. So yeah, that's AJ Styles. That one, take it or leave it. That one seems like probably the least bold of our calls in my personal opinion. And then with that said, we move on to our fourth one, which, Kevin, you came up with this one, and I want you to, I'll pass you the ball here. Triple H leaves WWE. Kevin, talk to us.
Yeah, this might be the most out there one out of all of them. Well, I don't know. I shouldn't say that so quick because we have some pretty out there predictions. But I know a lot of people are going to hear this. Triple H leaving WWE, and you'd be like, what? I don't know. I could just see it. Like, it feels like Triple H, he wants to take over the company. But he's got to get tired of waiting, right? He's been waiting for years and years. And now with Nick Khan in play, the possibility of Triple H taking over WWE, it might have died with NXT version 1. That was really like Triple H's audition to see if he could run a wrestling company. And look what he did with NXT. NXT was so bad that Daddy had to hire Nick Khan to come fix it. So, what is there, like, I've also been watching a lot of Succession. For those of you that know about that show, you'll understand my thought process. Like, Triple H is like Kendall, going for the company. He's trying to cut his dad's throat, try to go for the company, and eventually, like, the time, like, it's just not there anymore. Well, what's next for Triple H after NXT died? That's really my thinking when it comes to this.
Yeah, I can say it. Even if it's just Triple H, not so much doing it like what Shane McMahon did, where Shane just like went international and just kind of left WWE generally, but like as Triple H maybe takes an hiatus for like 6 odd months and just gets away from it all. I know Triple H has recently been through some like medical stuff, which hopefully he's doing all good. Hopefully, shout out to Paul Levesque, hopefully doing well. But just generally speaking, maybe it's just some time off for Triple H in 2022, because no doubt the past few years have been pretty all over the place. I think it's fair to say, pal.
Yeah, absolutely. And another thing too is I'm pretty sure he closed the door officially on his in-ring career. And I'm sure with the medical condition that he has, I'm sure he's not going to wrestle again after that, but you never know. And yeah, I mean, I could see it. And maybe he takes a hiatus, like you said, and he's Triple H. Like, he's one of the most famous wrestlers on the planet. He could easily like get a job doing a podcast or something like that.
Yeah.
He could be a personality. He doesn't necessarily need to go to AEW or anything like that. I'm not even suggesting that.
Yeah.
He could do a million things.
Well, Triple H is that guy who, when he shows up on like ESPN First Take, it's like, oh, this is the WWE guy, and we're not going to laugh at him because he's like a legitimate WWE guy who we're not, it's not embarrassing. So Triple H can do.
And he gets big views too when he talks about like Conor McGregor coming into the WWE or something like that. It does big views. Hell
yeah! So speaking of, I guess, big moments, big calls, Kevin, we move on to our fifth one. This one, personally, I can see this happening quite easily. This one is Brian Cage leaving AEW after being misused and joining WWE. This one, realistically, is the first big AEW star leaves and joins WWE because they're disgruntled. I can see it. Kevin, can you?
Absolutely. I mean, when you posed the question to me, what are your bold calls for next year? One of my bold predictions was like, somebody from AEW is going to leave. Someone's going to be like, who's the first guy that speaks openly and honestly about how, you know, the backstage politics at AEW, the way Tony Khan broke his promises, and then you suggested Brian Cage, and it just makes sense because we've had his wife in a Twitter account just shouldn't be a thing right now. Whenever she tweets, she stirs up the pot on wrestling Twitter. Brian Cage, there's been rumblings from his camp will just say that he's unhappy. It's not a full-fledged protest, but I could see it in 2022 him being that guy that I was thinking of that is going to come out, do some podcast interviews. Like, he could easily do an interview with Chris Van Vliet where he's like, oh, the Young Bucks, I don't like the way they operate backstage. Everyone's afraid of the Young Bucks. They throw their weight around or something like that. I'm not just saying the Young Bucks specifically, but just giving an example.
Yeah, you can say it. You can say it. Like, Cage leaves, and we begin to see the first of what could turn out to be many AEW stars leaving and having not the absolute most, upbeat and positive things to say about the company. I'm just saying that's what we could see. Well, am I saying that everyone's going to come out of AEW and trash it? No, but I'm just saying Brian Cage, with everything we've seen so far and the sample size we've seen of him on social media, it's looking likely, Kevin. That's all I'm going to say.
Absolutely. Yeah, then I guess we'll go to the next one. This one's just hilarious.
I want to preface this by saying, before we get into it, remember when The Rock made that video appearance on Impact Wrestling? Was it this past year? I don't know when it was. I think it was for Ken Shamrock's Hall of Fame entrance or something.
Yeah,
but
it was.
This one's similar to that, and I'm just going to read it now. The Undertaker shows up in the Impact Zone for a guest appearance. Do you want to say something on this? Because I can give some insight here.
You could even generalize it and say the Undertaker wrestles anywhere outside of WWE or makes an appearance for any wrestling company outside of WWE. Look, the Undertaker's been everywhere, bro. The Undertaker was on Joe Rogan's podcast. He did Bill Simmons' podcast. He did Hot Ones with Sean Evans. He did Kevin Hart's YouTube channel. Undertaker's everywhere. So what's stopping him from showing up at Impact and just being like, yeah, hey guys, I'm here.
True.
I'm a legend.
You can picture Undertaker wearing a Blue Lives Matter shirt in the Impact Zone and then getting cancelled on Twitter.
Oh, God.
I'm sorry. But yeah, no, I can picture something like this. Like, Undertaker, he's by this point, a 58-year-old man. He's got his, bandana on. He's just towering over the whole Impact roster. He gets, a standing ovation from, the Impact locker room. You got, Eddie Edwards, crying in the aisleway. The whole Knockouts division just, clapping. Undertaker walks to the ring and says that he's been watching Impact for 20 years. And he's proud to see where this company's come and been. And all this kind of thing. You can picture some segment like that in the middle of, October,
Oh, yeah. No, I mean, imagine Undertaker shows up on AEW. Just imagine, what kind of stir that would cause in the wrestling community. You have, people tweeting, oh, Undertaker hated WWE so much that he went to AEW. It would be great, the disruption that would cause.
Oh, that'd be fantastic. And speaking of disruption, Kevin, this one, if this happened, it would disrupt your dreams at night, Kevin. This would make you struggle to sleep. You'd be waking up with cold sweats. This bold call, okay, just for some context, WrestleMania 38 is in Dallas, Texas. And when you think of Texas-based celebrities, actors per se, the main one I personally think of is Matthew McConaughey. So with this one, Kevin, I've got Matthew McConaughey defeats The Miz at WrestleMania. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I called this one too. I brought this one up.
Yep.
We were discussing this, and I'm just look, WWE, they're going to try to recreate this formula now for the next couple of years. They're going to milk this formula where they bring a celebrity in, have him wrestle The Miz, and The Miz makes him look good. We saw it happen with Bad Bunny. And now we're gonna get The Miz versus, it might be Matthew McConaughey. Maybe they'll bring in Joe Rogan, since Joe Rogan lives in Texas. Maybe we'll get, we'll get a JRE episode with Vince McMahon a couple days before WrestleMania, and Vince McMahon will be like, hey pal, why don't you come on over to WrestleMania and wrestle Mike The Miz Mizanin?
Oh my god.
And we'll see The Miz and Joe Rogan do this promo where Joe Rogan's talking about UFOs and flying saucers. And the Miz like, what are you talking about, bro? And then Joe Rogan just puts him in like a shoot submission hold since Joe Rogan's like MMA guru.
Oh my god.
And the Miz is tapping out, and maybe Joe Rogan will break the Miz's leg, and then he'll really have a torn ACL once Joe Rogan's done with him. A man can only hope, right?
Oh my god. This guy. Nah, but seriously speaking there, John, I can see them following this formula for the next like 6 years, where the Miz will wrestle just like the most famous actor in like the region WrestleMania is being held, like in that area. Like the Miz just wrestles these like actors or celebrities or like quote unquote mainstream stars. Like this will be the Miz's new thing. We'll have like the
Who was the original actor I brought up when we were talking about this?
The original actor. Oh, who did you bring up? It was someone outrageous from memory.
It was Spiderman.
Yeah, Tom Holland. Yeah.
Imagine Tom Holland shows up on Raw like 3 months before WrestleMania. He's like, hey guys, I'm here to promote whatever movie he's releasing, and then the Miz comes out and
sprays him with a dripstick, and becomes a deeply personal long-term feud. And you have Tom Holland doing like ricochet acrobatics over the Miz, and the Miz is standing in the ring going, "Oh my god, where is he?" As Tom Holland's bouncing between the ropes, like, God, ridiculous.
Right.
Ridiculous. So yeah, that's that one. Matthew McConaughey defeats the Miz at WrestleMania. Then moving on to what I believe is the 7th one, I think, whichever. WrestleMania stars some, so because WrestleMania's in Texas, WrestleMania stars sporting celebrities Dak Prescott, Ezekiel Elliott, and we think Jalen Green from the Houston Rockets. And the main thing here is the WWE attempt to get a Luka Doncic appearance, of course, NBA big-time mainstream future of the league star Luka Doncic, but Luka scoffs at WWE on SportsCenter in an interview, causing NBA Twitter to go absolutely off on WWE, destroy wrestling Twitter. This causes the most toxic moment in the wrestling community all year. You've got NBA Twitter sending death threats to people on wrestling Twitter. You've got Jobber Nation just freaking out at wrestling. Just this whole thing, Kevin, would be hilarious, wouldn't it?
And don't forget that like a couple weeks before the show on Raw, we'll have a segment where Jerry Jones is sitting front row, and Elias comes out and just smacks him to the ground. For those of you who don't know, Jerry Jones is the owner of the Dallas Cowboys, the owner of the AT&T Stadium where WrestleMania will be.
Yep, and where's Dallas based? In Texas, and where's WrestleMania based? In Texas. So you can see a theme here, Kevin. Texas based. WWE is going to be drawing upon those Texas stars, and I mean, Kevin, the next bold call we've got is, this is something.
It's as Texas as it gets. I mean, yeah. So Steve Austin, he is going to refuse to show up at WrestleMania 38. Instead, he's going to show up at Double or Nothing 2022.
Oh my God. Could you imagine Twitter if this happened? Steve Austin comes out on his podcast and says he doesn't support or stand with WWE, what they've done in the past year or so. He doesn't stand with that. He doesn't believe in it. And then he proceeds to show up at Double or Nothing and like present Cody Rhodes with the AW World Championship. Something like that. Like, could you imagine? Oh my God.
Yeah, that he stuns Cody Rhodes, and then then on live TV he tells Tony Khan that he was here as a ploy, and he's really like WWE for life.
That's so bad. People are gonna love this. Then we move on to the next one. This one, Kevin. When I think of you, I do think of your Wrestling Uncovered series or your Wrestling Exposed series, where you literally just go behind the scenes. This one, I had to do something like this, and this was to your credit too. For bold call number 10 or whatever this is, fans demand WWE pull Brock Lesnar from the SummerSlam 2022 main event after Dark Side of the Ring. An episode airs, airing the story of Brock Lesnar getting Mr. Perfect or any random wrestler addicted to cocaine. Okay, Kevin? Walk us through your thoughts here.
Well, the thought process here is that Dark Side of the Ring, they haven't done an episode yet on Mr. Perfect. So we know this episode is coming. And no, neither one of us have heard any rumors. We don't have any insight about Brock Lesnar getting Mr. Perfect addicted to cocaine.
It's all alleged. Don't sue us. Continue.
But we do know that when this episode on Mr. Perfect airs on Dark Side of the Ring, something crazy is going to happen. Or next season, there's going to be a crazy episode of Dark Side of the Ring, and somebody is going to get canceled. Whatever that episode may be. And just imagine, like, if they make a Mr. Perfect episode, and you have, like, Mr. Perfect's, like, I don't know, some daughter that we didn't know existed, that we never heard of before. Because Dark Side of the Ring, they find these random relatives of wrestlers that you never heard of. So let's just say Mr. Perfect has a daughter from another woman from, like, when he was, like, right out of high school. And this daughter is talking about how Brock Lesnar, a young Brock Lesnar, who grew up in Minnesota, had ties to Mr. Perfect, was a big collegiate wrestler. He was under Mr. Perfect's wing. Mr. Perfect took him into his house, and then while he was at his house, Brock Lesnar was a bad influence on Mr. Perfect. He got him addicted to cocaine, which then led to his passing. You could see something ridiculous like this coming out of Dark Side of the Ring. Who knows? After they tried to cancel Ric Flair, who knows what's next?
Yeah, they're building. Brock's in the SummerSlam main event versus Bobby Lashley for the WWE title. There's all this hype about Brock Lesnar, and Dark Side of the Ring conveniently dropped this episode with this earth-shattering Brock Lesnar story. Brock Lesnar's fully cancelled. There's literally people lining up outside WWE HQ to get Vince to take Brock out of the main event of SummerSlam. People are outraged. They're screaming. People are sending Brock death threats on social media. You can picture this. This is stuff that happens in 2021. So 2022 now, you can see it.
Yeah, absolutely. But for sure.
And Kevin,
the next reason is...
Can I do this one? Can I just read this one for you?
Yeah.
So, okay. Now, recently there's been a bit of drama surrounding one Tainara Conti and Sammy G, or Sammy Vlogs as they call him, surrounding their relationship. Infamously, Sammy's, breakup with his fiancée Pam and all this type thing. Kevin, here we go. So, the bold call here. Tay Conti breaks up with Sammy Guevara, then Tay Conti goes on Talk Is Jericho about a week or two after. Tay Conti reveals some sickening, graphic, disturbing news and information about what Sammy Guevara is like behind the scenes, off camera. From here, Sammy Guevara is put onto suspension once again, while AEW does an investigation once again. And from here, Sammy Guevara... he gets signed and he gets to deal with Impact Wrestling because Impact Wrestling are that down bad they'd sign a guy like this. From here, Sammy Guevara stars in a 4-star classic versus Eddie Edwards at Bound for Glory as Jobber Nation, Gareth, Junkie, AW Botches, and all the severely anti-AW Twitter accounts have a field day ranting about AW's unethical employment of horrible people.
Well, that is a very nicely worded, summarized reason right there. Couldn't have said it better myself, pal.
That is so outrageous. But the main thing with that is Tay Conti breaking up with Sammy Guevara. That we can easily see happening. Once that stand ends in a few months' time, that'll probably happen. The Talk Is Jericho thing, we figured that Kevin, as we're all well aware, Talk Is Jericho is the go-to podcast for AEW's, shoot interviews,
Yeah, you can see it. Tay Conti breaks up with Sammy Guevara, and then she goes on Talk Is Jericho, and she's like, "Oh man, Sammy Guevara stone cold me one time in a hotel room."
Okay. We move. From here we move. From here we move on to the final. I'm cutting that out. From here we move to the final bold call. This one, Kevin, I'll get you to read it. This one's classic.
Yeah, former president of the United States Donald Trump appears on WWE TV.
Oh, can you imagine?
I don't know why, but I can see it. Just a picture this. It's July 17th. It's a Monday night. And then 20 minutes before Raw, WWE's Twitter account drops the graphic for promoting the latest episode of Miz TV. Oh man, we're all grabbing our popcorn. We're on the edge of our seats. We can't wait to know who the guest is for Miz TV. Then right at 8 o'clock, we get Michael Cole as a talking head standing in front of the camera. And he's like, Donald Trump is going to appear on Miz TV today. You can see it, 100%. It's gonna happen at some point.
Or it's the American Independence Day episode of Raw. So it's the July 4th episode of Raw. They do the Miz TV. Donald Trump comes on and cuts an epic shoot promo about Joe Biden, the vaccine, immigration, the wall. He does a full shoot promo. You've got these AEW accounts on Twitter calling WWE the most racist company that's ever existed. You've got Twitter, the mainstream's having a freak out. This goes viral on CNN. CNN's talking about how evil this is. Meanwhile on Fox News, you got Tucker Carlson saying this is the best thing we've ever seen on television. This goes mainstream. TMZ's reporting on this. Bleacher Report, ESPN, House of Highlights, Donald Trump's WWE shoot promo. We've got the Miz is just sitting there, just in awe, as Trump's talking about how Biden's the worst person who's ever walked the earth, and Trump predicts Biden will be dead in November, and Kamala Harris will be the worst president in the history of the country. And it's this big thing, and this goes viral. Kevin, you can picture this, surely.
100%. I can see it. Imagine. Oh my god. Just imagine this, the Miz hey Donald, and then Donald just grabs the microphone and starts talking for 20 minutes straight.
Trump grabs the mic and just when I was president, we didn't have as many people die from COVID as when Biden's president. He had the vaccine. Vote for me in 2024. And like they cut his mic, and you see like, or you know, like the wrestlers backstage. Like, Mustafa Ali runs out and tries to spear tackle Trump, and we have JBL rushes out and tackles down Ali. Like it's this big deal. Like there's this like big brawl. There's like once again, Kevin, TMZ cameras are reporting this. It's just classic.
Yeah, there's like this segment has controversy because Donald Trump insults like the Street Profits or something.
A backstage segment leaks, so like yeah, Trump's like interviewed by the Street Profits, and he makes some passing line which is, you know, inferred as being racist, and then Trump gets fully cancelled. But not that he really can, he's off every social media platform now except his own one. But anyway, we move.
Yeah, he's literally removed from Facebook. It's like illegal to mention his name on Twitter, so.
Anyway.
Cancelled.
I don't think we can get more bold than that. So, in summary, to a real quick run by this: Charlotte Flair to AEW, WWE sold to the highest bidder, AJ Styles signs on with WWE, Triple H leaves WWE, Brian Cage leaves AEW, joins WWE, The Undertaker shows up randomly on Impact, Matthew McConaughey or Tom Holland defeat The Miz at WrestleMania, Dak Prescott and Jalen Green proudly represent their sports at WrestleMania, while Luka Doncic doesn't. Steve Austin shows up at Double or Nothing instead of WrestleMania. Fans demand Brock Lesnar cancelled after Dark Side of the Ring. Conti breaks up with Sammy G, and Sammy G gets cancelled for the 5th time. And Trump appears on Monday Night Raw.
What a list.
Wow.
That is a list.
Wow. So Kevin, do you have any closing words out of bold calls?
I mean, I just want to say thank you for having me on this video. I appreciate that. And yeah, I mean, I can't wait to see most of these things happen. I can't wait to see how the world reacts when Steve Austin is handing Cody Rhodes the AEW title after Cody buries Hangman Page in a 45-minute classic match bout.
And then Hangman Page goes on the AEW exclusive YouTube channel and cuts like the biggest shoot promo about how Cody Rhodes behind the scenes has tried to hold him down for 6 years. And this caused like the end of AEW. Yeah, anyway, we move. Kevin, it's been great having you on. Thanks for doing this. I was going to do this video myself, but having you on made this much better. So thanks for that. And yeah, if you enjoyed the video, like, comment, sub, all that kind of classic stuff. You guys know the drill. Peace.